And one of the things that I teach the people that are in training and the people that come to class is, if you don't feel the song, don't teach it.
That makes sense.
It's like putting food in your mouth that you don't like.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? It's just that it doesn't work. So it becomes, you as a Salsarobics coach, you have a personal relationship with that music. And when you start moving to that music, it's going to be presented by you from within you, because you have a personal relationship with that song. So I can give you a slew of songs to choose from, and you're going to choose the ones that you connect with. And those are the ones that you should be leading with your class. Not just because I like that song doesn't mean that you're going to connect with it. So it's a very personal thing. And when you stand in front of a class to lead and that song comes on, it does something to you. And that's going to be translated into energy that you're going to give everybody else in your class.
Yeah.
And how cool is that? So there's your party, And I think that as we age, to have the ability to emotionally connect rhythmically, it keeps us young.
Yes. Also, in terms of your heart health, when you're exercising and doing salsa aerobics, like how long?
So the whole thing with anything, any time that we're moving, aerobic, when people say aerobics, do you do aerobic? The word aerobic from a exercise physiology standpoint, it means with oxygen. That's what, if you were to look it up in the dictionary, aerobic means with oxygen. So right now, you and I and the people that are sharing this information, we're always at an aerobic level. The intensity is low, but as long as we're breathing like this, we are in an aerobic level. So the question becomes, where do I want to take that aerobic level to? Now, there comes the situation where we get into what is called anaerobic, which I'm sure you've heard. And that means that the supply and demand, they're not jiving. Anaerobic is because I am demanding a lot, but I'm not able to supply it. So people think that when we're winded, that we're really working hard because we're winded. Winded means that the supply of oxygen is not fulfilling what the body is saying it demands. But we take that and we say, "Oh my God, I really work hard." No, you're panting because you're going past that threshold, and the body's not giving you what you need. So we start, doing that. That does not mean necessarily it is a healthy state of being. Aerobic means to be able, the aerobic intensity, it's about building up your aerobic intensity. And with that, it means that we're going to build up endurance. So it's not about being able to go all out in 10 seconds and then we cannot do anything. It's about being able to go 30 minutes at a steady, higher aerobic intensity level and be able to finish. And feel that we did something, but we're not choking because we cannot give the body what it needs. So perceived rate of exertion, and this is now terminology. Now I'm getting more into the exercise physiology. When we're working out, we need to look at our perceived rate of exertion. And on a scale of 1 to 10, from an aerobic standpoint, only you know what your perceived rate of exertion is. If you're doing something, you would ask yourself that question to see, where am I at on a level of 1 to 10? And that perceived rate of exertion can very definitely change from one day to the next. If you're very tired one morning and you go and do your workout, you're going to feel very much more different than one morning when you get up and you're all get go and you're rested. So we have to learn to read ourselves. so that we know when to back it up a little bit and then push ourselves a little bit more. Kind of interval training. So perceived rate of exertion, you can look at it from a cardiovascular standpoint. How hard is my heart pumping? And then also from a muscular standpoint, you have perceived rate of exertion for your muscles, perceived rate of exertion for your quadricep muscles, perceived rate of exertion for your chest muscles, your shoulder muscles. And only each one of us knows what that is. So we have to learn to read our bodies. And that is what you were talking about earlier. The mindfulness has to be there for us to be able to do that. And we get to learn to be with ourselves in a way that we know how to read. In terms of general, if you look at the fitness industry, they talk about, well, the maximal heart rate for a person is 220 minus our age. Okay, so they came up with that. Whatever research they did, that's what they call the maximal heart rate. So 220 minus our age. And then that means that if you're a 20-year-old, your maximal heart rate, you could get yourself up to 200 on your heart rate. You see what I mean? So it's 220 minus your age. That gives you where you should push yourself to the max if you decide to do that. Once you have the maximal heart rate, then the aerobic industry, as a general rule, says the suggested place to work is between 60 and 85% of that maximal heart rate. So then you do your equation. You take 220 minus the age, gives you the maximal heart rate, and then you take what is 80% of that, what is 60% of that, and then you create that window if you want to work with numbers. You see what I mean? So we can get scientific that way, which is great, and we can also learn to read our bodies. How am I feeling right now? Am I getting so winded that I'm beginning to feel like I'm choking? Is that really safe? No, it's not. Should I back it down a little bit so that I can get caught up and then steady myself so that maybe I can take it up to the next level? Of course we should do that. So this is where not checking out in an exercise program, whether it is a group exercise class or whether it is working with weight training equipment, we have to learn to read that.
Yeah.
And challenge ourselves in a safe way. And with all of that comes, as you know, Jody, because you know me, we have professional, we've been together. Everything has to do with alignment, posture.
Yeah.
If I go into a workout program and I'm slouching, whether it is a group exercise or weight training in a fitness center, and I am slouching and I'm collapsing my lungs by slouching, I'm not able to give the body what it needs. So now we have to look at that, which is a continuous reminder in the group exercise class, chest up, shoulders down and back, breathe deep, be light on your feet. Make sure that you're walking from the waistline, that you're not shuffling your feet, that you're not pushing from the knees, the stride, that you're not working from the hip joint, but that you're working from the waistline, that we're not swinging the extremities, that we're lifting and lowering the arms, lifting and lowering the legs. So everything becomes mindful with how we move our bodies. And hopefully after we do the class, we take those ideas and we incorporate them in when we sit to work in front of a computer, or when we're driving and commuting to our jobs and it's 1 hour of being in the car with nasty traffic, So we need to incorporate those ideas. And again, I love the fact that you brought mindfulness to this conversation, because it's about that.
I totally agree that I think everything in life comes back to meditation. I always say you can meditate in different ways. Exercise is a great way to meditate.
Yes, it is. And it should not be, it should be, yes. again with intensities. So how do we build intensity in a group exercise class besides changing the tempo, how fast we go with the step? The rhythms themselves call for that. If you do a merengue has a much faster beat. So a merengue is a, it's like walking, it's a 1 2, it's just like a walking step. And we can do a merengue and walk fast with it, but it's a dance walk. Salsas, there are slower salsas and then there are faster salsas. So again, the music will dictate. In addition to it, we know that we can change from half tempo to double time depending on what songs we incorporate. We can build that bell curve of the intensity bell curve in a salsa aerobic class, but by how we put the music together. I can do a soca rhythm, which is a Caribbean rhythm that is faster than the merengue's rhythms are. I love using island music and African music because a lot of the Spanish music has roots that are that. Um, and then you can do a salsa with the mambo step, which is a step ball change, kind of what the waltz is, that kind of a step, which is a little bit slower than when we do a salsa from Cali, which is a 4 count of 1 2 3 something, 1 2 3 something. So you can build the intensity just by the nature of what song is presented in the class.
So did you just know how to dance, or did you take dance classes too? I mean, you know all the name of the dances and all the
Well,
stuff.
growing in the culture, you just know what they are because we grow up dancing all these rhythms. Um, a big part of growing up in my country is you in school assemblies are dance companies.
Oh,
The little kids, and I did a lot of growing up. My thing was I did folkloric Colombian dances. That's what I was raised doing as a child through the schools that I went to. Um, and of course, the tropical dancing was always part of the household. Um, and then, so knowing the dances, and when I decided to create Salsarobics, it was so I know the dance steps. Now I'm going to define it for people, and then muscularly, this what rhythm really concentrates on which muscular groups.
wow.
Then we started putting the exercise physiology into it.
Mm.
Like if I do, again, with directional changes, but if I do a cumbia step, for example, from Colombia, the cumbia step works a lot of lateral and medial, the inner and the outer thighs part of the legs because of the way the footwork is done. If I take a salsa step that is done in Colombia with the 4 count, like a step, 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 and then the fourth step can be whatever I want. I can tap the floor. I can lift the leg to the front, working the quadricep. I can lift the leg to the back, working the hamstring. I can lift the leg to the front and turn the hip so that it will work the inner thigh. So then I took the steps and then I looked at them from an exercise physiology standpoint. What variation of the leg can I put into the step without losing the step that will give me a different muscular exercise?
Oh,
So that went into it. You see what I
oh.
mean?
I knew it was like regular dancing, and it wasn't. There was something more to it. You choreographed.
Yes. Yes. So and it's more like if you look at when you go and you do interval weight training, you're gonna go and you're gonna do a leg press, you're gonna do a hamstring curl, you're gonna do abduction and adduction, you're gonna do core rotation. So when you look at a step from that standpoint, all those things come into play. And yeah, can I go into the dance nightclub and do the step as a street dance? Absolutely. And then can I put in some of those little ending variations to make it look a little bit more funky or sexy or whatever I want it? Yes, I can do that.